Have you ever looked at someone and wondered how they get so much done? They seem to achieve these incredible results with what looks like, well, not a lot of effort. Meanwhile, the rest of us are grinding away, burning the midnight oil, and sometimes getting nowhere. The difference isn't always about working harder. It's about a hidden force multiplier. And today, we're going to unpack that exact force, the leverage effect. So let's go way back. Over 2,000 years ago, the mathematician Archimedes made this absolutely wild claim. I mean, it sounds like pure fantasy, right? But he was dead serious. He understood that with the right tool, a simple lever, a single person's force could be magnified to an almost infinite degree. The secret wasn't about strength, it was about physics. And that really is the million-dollar question for us, isn't it? How do we take this ancient physical principle and apply it today? How do we use it to move our own Earth? Our careers, our biggest goals, our entire lives. Let's figure out how you can find your place to stand. Okay, first things first. Before we can start using this, we've got to understand the mechanics. So what exactly is the leverage effect? How does this universal principle actually work to multiply our efforts? When you boil it all down, the leverage effect is about getting the biggest possible result from the smallest possible input. Simple as that. Yeah, it's a concept that comes straight from physics. But as you're about to see, it's really a philosophy for success that you can apply to just about anything. Let's make this super simple. Just picture a seesaw at a playground. You've got a small kid on one end and a much heavier adult on the other. Normally, the adult's side is just stuck on the ground, right? But what happens if the kid scoots further back on their seat, away from the center? Suddenly, they can lift the adult with no problem. Their weight didn't change at all, but their leverage did. And that, right there, is the principle in action. So, to build our own levers in life, we need to know the three core parts. First up is the fulcrum. This is your stable base, your foundation. Think of it as your knowledge, your reputation, or the resources you have. Second, you have the point of impact. That's your goal, the result you're aiming for. And finally, there's the point of effort. And that's you. That's where you apply your energy. The real magic is in how you arrange these three things. And this is where it gets really strategic, because by just rearranging those three components, your effort, your fulcrum, and your goal, you can create completely different types of levers, and each one is optimized for a very specific outcome. So let's dive into the three main setups. All right, first up, we've got the classic. This one is all about pure, beautiful efficiency. This is the lever of efficiency. It's that classic seesaw setup where the fulcrum, that pivot point, sits right between your effort and the thing you're trying to move. The goal here is simple but incredibly powerful, to get the absolute biggest result from the smallest amount of push. It's all about maximum bang for your buck. And you actually use this kind of lever all the time without even thinking about it. A pair of scissors? The pivot is between your fingers and the blades. A crowbar prying a nail out? Same thing. And of course, that playground seesaw. All of them are perfectly designed for one thing: getting the job done with the least amount of strain. Next, we have a lever that isn't just designed for ease, it's designed to pretty much guarantee a result. Okay, our second type is called the lever of inevitability. And yep, it is as powerful as it sounds. Here, the structure gets flipped. The load, your objective, is placed between your effort and the fulcrum. The goal here isn't just to make things easier, it's to make success almost a foregone conclusion. You're basically trapping your objective, putting it between a rock and a hard place where it has no choice but to yield. Think about a wheelbarrow. The heavy load is between the wheel, which is the fulcrum, and you, the effort. Or a nutcracker. That poor nut is totally trapped. And this is also the principle behind that famous line from The Godfather. The offer you can't refuse. It's a system designed to make a particular outcome, well, inevitable. And finally, we have the lever you reach for when time is the most important thing you have. This is the lever of speed. Now, with this setup, your effort is applied between the fulcrum and the load. And this leads to a really fascinating trade-off. You actually have to use more force than you would with the other levers. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, but what you get in return is a massive boost in speed and range of motion. This is the lever you choose when time is more valuable than anything else. A fishing rod is the perfect example, right? Your small hand movements near the base create that huge, fast whip at the end of the line. Tweezers and shovels work the exact same way. And in the modern world, paying extra for express delivery is a perfect business example. You're spending more resources, sure, but you're buying a faster result.
Okay, so we've got our three types of levers, one for efficiency, one for inevitability, and one for speed. Now we get to the really good part. How do we actually build these things in the real world? Let's look at 6 practical ways you can apply leverage.
Think of this as your roadmap. First, you can convert energy. That's turning something you already have, like a great reputation, into something you need, like investment money. Second, you can accumulate energy. This is all about building assets, like a strong personal brand, that work for you 24/7. Third, redirect forces. Why swim against the current? Instead, you use existing market trends to push you forward. Fourth, you can multiply your effect. Think franchising or creating a template that others can use. Fifth, reduce resistance. Sometimes the biggest win comes from just making things easier by simplifying your workflows. And finally, number 6, amplify resonance. This is creating something that spreads all by itself, like viral marketing, where one small push can create a massive wave. All right, let's bring all this theory back down to earth. This stuff is great in principle, but what does it actually look like in our day-to-day lives? And how does it work in business? This is where it all clicks. In your personal life, leverage is spending the time to learn a new skill that pays dividends for the rest of your career. It's that 15 minutes of planning you do each morning that saves you hours of chaos later. In business, it's delegating tasks so you can focus on what only you can do. It's using an investment to grow faster, or hiring an expert to solve a problem in a week that would take you a year. In every case, it's a small, smart input for a massive output. Now, a quick reality check. It's not all easy wins. A lever is like a magnifying glass. It amplifies whatever you point it at. And that includes your mistakes. So it is absolutely crucial to understand the risks involved. The mistakes you can make really fall into 2 big categories. First, you've got strategic mistakes. These are the high-level blunders, like picking the wrong goal to begin with or building your whole plan on a weak foundation, a shaky fulcrum. Then you have tactical mistakes. These are errors in execution, like applying way too much force and just breaking things, or sacrificing quality just because you're trying to scale too fast. I really want to end on this point because I think it's the most important takeaway from all of this. Using leverage is not about being lazy or avoiding work. It's about being incredibly smart and strategic with your effort. It's about understanding that your own finite energy is best used to organize and direct forces, not to do all the heavy lifting yourself. So, the ultimate question for you is this. In your work, in your life, where's your fulcrum? What is that one small strategic action you can take tomorrow that will create a disproportionately massive result? Find that one thing, and you'll have found the true power of the leverage effect.